Is it a Friday yet, Greg in Dallas, Tejas?
It's definitely a Friday.
I was at the grocery store 15 minutes ago, lost track of time. Literally 15 minutes ago. I got back here, I dropped everything on the counter. My wife had just walked in from work. I said, I got to go. She goes, you've never been late. I completely lost track of time. I was talking to the pharmacist, and I had stuff I had to pick up, and all of a sudden it was 3:45. I went, ruh-roh, better get to work.
Had a couple of close calls on being late, but not actually officially late.
I'm telling you what, CZ Studios are lit up for you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Friday, a rainy, thundery Friday here, but that's okay because we needed that. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. It's kind of like Andy Hoosier weather today. If it were colder, he would be loving all of that. But nonetheless, Greg, I will let you tell people where they can watch the program, everywhere but Rumble, but I'll let Greg do his thing, and then we'll go to Paul Markel, student of the gun.
Yeah, sure. To find us over on YouTube, just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to X and watch us at AAR Mark. You can always head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, I like watching Paul on the screen here with his graphic. It's got his picture in the graphic above him live, his feet below him and his legs below him, and then the name pops up perfectly and coming up. It all works really well, Paul. Everything just always works with you, Paul Markel, student of the gun. How you doing, my brother?
Oh, just Jim Dandy.
How many cups of blackout coffee have you had to start your day today? I see you sipping on one right now. Is that your first, second, third? What is it?
Oh, no, it's actually only my second.
Second? Okay. Greg, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now I had two.
All right.
I had 2 cups of blackout to start my day today, and the second cup I had depleted the bag, so I am waiting for new coffee, but fortunately I have an extra one, I think, somewhere, so should have that coming any day now. Blackoutcoffee.com/AAR, everybody. There's your plug. Hey, Paul, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit Judge Lawrence VanDyke. You ever heard of Lawrence VanDyke? If I'm not mistaken, he's the judge that put the video of him up holding all the firearms and explaining guns. Do you remember that video?
Oh,
A few months back, he caught a lot of headache from his colleagues because he sits on the Ninth Circus, as we refer to it here. Mm-hmm. But he is urging, and this is so refreshing, and it's right up our alley, because you and I are always talking about how are we, the people, going to do something? When are we going to do something? Now, I'll go into, later in this conversation, some comments that I had on some YouTube videos that I put out relative to what should happen to these courts that are defying Bruen, and I'm in complete agreement with that. I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. But this is a perfect way to kind of segue into that, because what he's doing is he is urging the Supreme Court of the United States to issue bench slaps for his own court's gun rulings. Check this out. He is seeking SCOTUS to reverse all of the Ninth Circus's wayward Second Amendment decisions. And he said, to put it more colloquially, it's time for some bench slaps. Nothing less will give this court any pause before ultimately blessing every arms restriction it reviews. And he began talking about Bruen and the long and concerning history of refusing to vindicate the Second Amendment. He expressed, and I quote, these things while dissenting from a Ninth Circuit decision not to rehear a ruling that upheld a California law restricting the concealed carry of switchblade knives. Here's how he says the bench slap from SCOTUS should read. In his own words, dear lower court, your decision sucks, and it sucks so badly it isn't even worth a closer look. Kindly redo it. Regards, the Supreme Court. You know, this is the kind of talk we want to hear from a judge who is just fed up. That's refreshing to hear. Is it not kind of fun to start a Friday conversation?
Well, it is, and it's kind of shocking and amazing. And I think I remember vaguely what you're talking about now, how the judge had to explain to his fellow jurists how firearms work.
Yes.
Like the forward assist on an AR-15 is not the go faster button.
Yeah.
It doesn't turn it into a fully semi-automatic if you push that one. That kind of ridiculousness. But to answer your question, that would be great. We just have to have people with stones. And fortunately, it looks like we're going to go 4 years without getting another liberal put on the court. But look at what happened over the last couple of years. Look at these flaming, just communist buffoons that the Democrats, and they're always women. And why are they women, Mark?
We had that conversation last week, the emotion involved.
Yeah, they're women because they believe that, it's easy cover. So if you disagree with a person on their political beliefs, or you disagree with someone who actually doesn't know what they're talking about, such as Kantanji, whatever her name is, I'm not a biologist, or is that what she said? I'm not a biologist, or when they said, "What can you define a woman for me?" Well, I'm not a biologist. Like, no, but you're a moron.
You're also a woman. I mean,
it's insane. It's insane, and we put up with it way too long. And the question, I think that we have a real litmus test right now in the United States, and that is the flock camera situation.
Yeah, that's something we're going to get into. That is getting bigger and bigger every day. And I do want to say this about the women issue. I've said this before. I don't broad brush anything. The most conservative people in my life that I know are women. I have no problem with it. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, any one of the women in my life I'm referring to, you'd love to have sitting on the Supreme Court. However, there's a lot of truth to what you're talking about when it comes to the Democrat Party, and that voting bloc that they're referring to is that liberal, woman, suburban voting bloc. That's what we're talking about. It is an actual thing.
They've weaponized them.
They have. It is an actual thing. They use the poll numbers. Correct. It is an
women.
actual voting bloc. So, I mean, let's get real here.
To get their way.
Nothing misogynistic about it. It's a fact.
You know, they put a black woman on the court, and we're all supposed to cheer because it's somehow historical. I mean, that would be like saying, hey, we put a giraffe on the court, and that's historical. And we need to get behind that and endorse it. We put a desk lamp on the court, and we need to get behind it because it's historical, and it's never been done before. So what?
A desk lamp.
So what?
A desk lamp would be smarter than Ketanji Brown Jackson. There's no question
it's
about
like,
that.
All right, that's where we
would be brighter.
There's a certain.
Oh wait, hold it. Greg, what did you just say?
I said it would be brighter.
Oh, the desk lamp would be bright. That's Greg having fun today on a Friday. Greg for the win.
Shot button.
That was good. I got to hand it to you there, Greg. That was good. He's kind of sucked that in there. Yeah, this guy has been accused, Judge VanDyke has been accused of using vulgar barroom talk to make his points. And here's what he had to say about that. So let me assuage my colleagues' selected Victorian predilections up front. Now, I thought there was going to be but he just said, calm down, is what he said. He issued a video dissent, okay? And this is what we were talking about, Paul. Here's what he said in a video dissent. California acknowledges that a magazine is necessary to make a firearm function. But they argue that because you can replace the standard magazine with one that holds fewer rounds, 10 rounds or less, then these higher capacity magazines are not an arm, thus wholly unprotected by the Second Amendment. Now, he went on to warn that that exact same argument would apply to every part of the firearm, which means essentially nothing on the firearm would be protected by the Second Amendment. This is a guy that gets it. Now, here's where I will, there's really no weeds to go into here. There's two things at play. The judges who make decisions based on what he just described are one of two things. There's no gray area. They are liars or they are stupid. There is no in between, period. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it's like when we used to hear things come out of Sniffy Joe the meat puppet's mouth, we're like, okay, he's either a mongoloid or he's lying.
It's one of the two. There's no gray area.
Which one is it? Yeah. Or he's lying. You're either too stupid to know what you're talking about or you're deliberately lying. And neither one of those are good things. Neither one of those are a good answer.
No, not when you're the president of the United States and not when you're sitting on a bench that's making decisions. Paul, we're getting ready to take our first break, so hold on to that thought when we come back. Paul Markel for 3 more segments on a Friday, ladies and gentlemen. A thundery, rainy Friday here, which is actually not a bad thing. Kind of a good thing here today. I'm not upset about that by any stretch. We've got 3 more segments with Paul Markel, student of the gun. He's a fan favorite for a reason, and you're going to get the truth when Paul opens his mouth. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show indeed, ladies. Let's go back to Paul Markel, student of the gun, who sits here with me today. Paul, welcome back in, brother.
All right. Yes, continuing on.
Here's what I wanted to say about the judges, and I think it's a good way to go here because I want to move on to what the DOJ Civil Rights Division is doing now. It's huge, ladies and gentlemen, and the ramifications of this. We're in territory we've never been in before, folks, and it's exciting to see. Regarding the judges, when you have a court, Paul, that has a history of intentionally, as the dominoes continue to fall, it appears depriving people of their constitutional rights because of their own political bias. These people should be held. These people should be held criminally liable in my book. Every single one of those decisions. Now we have immunity. I get all that, and I understand why it exists. But there gets to a point when it is so consistent and it is so long term, and so many people have been so screwed. You know, Rob Pincus was on this program yesterday and made a very bold, incredible comment that I put out in a video when he said, all of my friends, because he's from New Jersey, he was in Jersey when the Third Circuit decision came down. He said, everybody I know up here has literally been infringed their entire adult life. For the last 20 years, they have literally been infringed. And the people who have made that happen after these dominoes begin to fall, as far as I'm concerned, every single one of them should be able to be held criminally liable for depriving their residents for so many years of their basic fundamental constitutional rights, Paul. That's just my thought. I want to get that out there. It's never going to happen, but I wanted to get it off me chest, brother.
Well, yeah. And, you know, it always returns to the fundamental concept of the world, not just the United States, that the people, the peasantry, will always be abused by their government to the point or to the extent that they will allow. That's history. It's the history of the whole world. Mm-hmm. The government will abuse the people to the extent that the people allow. Mm-hmm. And when you talk California, you talk New Jersey, you talk New York, Illinois, whatever, the whole country, and you say, well, why are the judges acting this way, and why are the politicians acting this way, and why are the governors acting this way? It's because they know, based on experience, that they can abuse the citizens
and get away with it. Think of how many lives have been wrecked.
It's not that hard.
Think about how many lives. We're talking millions of lives over many, many years that have been wrecked. People put in prison. People have had their financial lives destroyed because of these unconstitutional decisions, not to mention how many people have been killed, have been murdered. We've covered the cases here.
By the FBI, the ATF.
Not just that, criminals because they couldn't get a permit to exercise a fundamental right. Now, we could go on and on and on and on and on. Nothing is going to be done about it, as sad as it is. Nothing will be done. But the fact that we can talk about it makes all the difference in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and it's important. And that's why when we talk about what we're getting ready to go into now, when you look at when I say the dominoes are falling, man, I mean it. Let's go over to the Virgin Islands here because this is about far more than the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands right now is involved in ongoing litigation over their magazine bans. Harmeet Dillon, and I'm paraphrasing everything here from memory earlier today, but Harmeet Dillon and the DOJ is asking a federal judge to step in and immediately end the Virgin Islands' defense of unconstitutional gun laws. Now, they have to meet 3 criteria. They have been able to meet all 3 of those criteria because it's not an easy thing to do to step in and ask a judge to stop ongoing litigation immediately until it becomes blatant. And, of course, this comes off the heels of the Third Circuit decision, which was so strong. And we know, the DOJ knows, that the other side is not going to be able to prove this case. Therefore, it should immediately be tossed and the people's rights restored so it doesn't have to go any further. Why is that so important? Well, for a number of different reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the underpinnings of gun control in the United States of America begin to crumble at a massive pace right before your very eyes. Paul, SCOTUS is going to issue a ruling in less than 12 months that is going to shake the foundation that everything the enemies of freedom have built their garbage on, to a point that I even asked this question of a couple guests over the past week. Could we actually be selling ourselves right out of a job as all of this falls apart? The answer to that question is no, because I'm going to show you in a few more minutes exactly how the Democrats are going to try to do what they do when they lose the assault weapons ban case. But Paul, all of this is fascinating historic times, and it seems to be coming in rapid fire. And that's exactly what we've waited for our entire careers together, you and I, Paul.
So, question, have you ever been to the Virgin Islands?
I have not, but a co-author on one of my books lives there now, and I know a lot of people who have and live there and love it and are basically screwed.
I've been to the U.S. Virgin Islands, to St. Thomas and St. John's.
Never been.
And one of the things that, Caribbean islands are notorious for their no-go zones. They literally will hand you a map. Like when I went there, they handed you a mimeographed, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with a little pencil drawing of the tourist area. And they're like, from this street to this street to this street to this street, that's the tourist area. And there's nothing for you outside of those boundaries. So don't go there. What they're saying is, here's the reality is we're able to police the 10 block by 14 block area where the hotels are and so on and so forth. We can police that pretty well. We can't police the whole island, and if you go outside of that, you're going to be robbed. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, they don't want to tell people that, so they're like, oh, just so you know, there's nothing on the other side of that street for you. There's nothing over there for you. And if there's and it's you name with the great exception, the Cayman Islands.
Interesting.
Grand Cayman is not like that.
Now think about the residents there.
Bahamas.
Think about the residents there, ladies and
FBI.
gentlemen, that live in those areas that cannot defend themselves. Well, you know what, folks? I'm Wyatt Earp, and it all ends now. I love that saying. We'll be back right after this with Paul. ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Paul Markel, student of the gun. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to warn you now. Buckle in. The segments are flying right by. Paul, you're holding up a book. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Then I got to talk to you about stupidity again with March for Our Lives. Go for it, brother.
Okay. I wanted to let you know we touched on this just briefly last week, and your copy has been ordered, and a copy has been ordered for you to be delivered to Georgia. So keep an eye out for it. But the brand new book, it's called Super Lab: Application of the Scientific Method to Firearms Training by yours truly, Paul G. Markel. Live now, paperback, audio book. So if you'd like to just sit in your car and have the book be read to you, you can do that too.
Yeah,
Kindle,
that's
paperback,
his
audio book.
That's his seventh book. Seventh book.
6 or 7.
6 or 7. Put a 0 on that, guys. He doesn't even know how many. There's a lot. We're talking about stupidity. Ketanji Brown, stupidity. Okay, talking about some of these judges, stupidity. Talking about how it's either stupidity or it's one of the two. Take a listen to this March for Our Lives that was put out on Twitter yesterday, a statement, and see if you can find the two areas here where this proves their utter stupidity. It's nothing other than that. I would normally say what I'm about to read you is gaslighting, but it's not. It's just evidence of their pure, sheer stupidity. This is from March for Our Lives. We just received the newest data on gun violence in America for the first half of 2026, and the findings show exactly why our movement cannot afford to slow down. First, the encouraging news. Shooting deaths and injuries have hit historic lows. Thanks to community violence intervention programs, federal funding, and the relentless organizing of youth activists like you, shooting deaths dropped to 1.9 per 100,000 Americans, the lowest number since 2015. Our efforts are saving lives, but the data also reveals a dangerous counter-trend. For the first time in 6 years, gun sales are ticking back up. An estimated 7.3 million firearms were sold in the U.S. in the first 6 months of this year alone. In states like Virginia and Rhode Island, gun sales skyrocketed by 73% and 86% as the gun lobby triggered panic buying in response to new common sense gun safety laws. On top of that, mass shootings have seen a slight increase compared to last year. Ghost guns remain stubbornly prevalent, and our communities are still feeling the devastating toll of this crisis every single day. The gun industry is working overtime to flood our communities with more weapons. We cannot let them reverse the historic progress we've fought so hard to achieve. Paul, there are two things that jump out at me, and here they are. Number one, these idiots just told you that gun sales are skyrocketing and shooting deaths are dropping. Did they not catch that correlation?
No, it has nothing, those things have nothing to do with each other.
Wait, hold on. Let me give you number two. Number two, okay? An estimated 7.3 million firearms were sold in the U.S. in the first 6 months, and they mentioned Rhode Island and Virginia, both of which instituted draconian, unconstitutional gun bans, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Democrats that did that, not the gun lobby. And what do? They blame the gun lobby for sales as guns fly off the shelves because the Democrats and they, March for Our Lives, want to take your guns. But that's the gun lobby's fault. These people, I would normally say they're trying to gaslight you here, but they're not, ladies and gentlemen. They're too stupid to know what they just said. Paul, it's yours.
Well, they're just liars by default. They have the script, and no fact or law or common sense, nothing is going to get in the way of the script. It goes back to the discussion we had either last week, week before, whatever. Liberalism is a mental disease. And when you embrace liberalism, you have to accept that logic and facts are immaterial. We're not going to talk about that. Doesn't matter because this is what we're going to push. And the idea that now they put all this fluff and nonsense out, but where they failed to make their point is, what exactly did you scumbags do to bring down the gun violence deaths? What did you scumbags do? How are they claiming responsibility for that? And of course, the truth of the matter is, if we were to take away Chicago, New York City, L.A., St. Louis,
Atlanta,
and
any Democrat-run city,
Memphis,
Baltimore, Memphis,
if you were to
city.
take any of those out, the United States of America would be one of the safest places, if not the safest place, on planet Earth. And we all know that. Well, we know that, but we don't acknowledge it because acknowledging it would screw up our argument. So we're just going to pretend like it didn't happen. But then the other thing that's really inconvenient is you say, all right, how many of these gun violence deaths and mass shootings were committed by people who, A, were either prohibited by law from owning guns, or B, committed with stolen guns? And if you take that out, you say, so none of the other nonsense that you're talking about, the prohibitions and the licensing and all that, and riddle me this, Batman, is it not true that they put into the Virginia gun bill that no one under age 21 can be in possession of a firearm unless supervised by an adult?
Yeah, and 18 to 20 is an adult, by the way. And Paul, I know Greg is going to tell me we're going to take another break. I'm sorry. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It just flies right by. And for some weird reason, today is moving right along at rapid fire speed. When we come back, we'll let Paul finish that point about 18 to 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds in the state of Virginia. And I do want to point out, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that all of their banned guns are now for sale yet again after the date of their ban, which was July 1. They're all back up for sale in the great state of Virginia, in the Commonwealth right now. Why? Because it's crumbling right before their eyes. The embarrassment factor is just wonderful. The schadenfreude is incredible. I love being able to talk about this with you every single day. But I'm also, in the next segment, when Paul is done with this thought, I'm going to open the playbook and show you exactly how they're going to come after your guns after SCOTUS slaps them in the face with a rolled-up copy of the Bill of Rights. We'll be right back for you there. Okay, let's go back to Paul Markel, student of the gun. Paul, welcome back in, my brother. I want you to finish your thought, and then I got to take you to the playbook that we're getting ready to see, because the big question is going to be, what's the left going to do when their gun bans get smacked down? And that looks like a wonderful cigar. What is it?
Oh, it's just a Drew Estate factory.
Nothing wrong with a Drew Estate factory.
My afternoon,
relaxation
cigars.
stick? Yeah. Padron 5000.
It's not an anniversary not an anniversary or anything like that. It's just relaxing. So, I was just saying about it's interesting to me how the U.S. Virgin Islands, do you think they take U.S. tax money? You think they accept tax money? You think that the 50 United States are supplementing the territory of USVI?
Of course.
Yeah, I know they are.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're subject to the Bill of Rights. That's the trick. Is a lot of these places like USVI or you name it, they want Uncle Sam's money, but then they don't want to play our game. They're like, well, we're going to do whatever we want, kind of like Hawaii. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, I'm glad that they're doing that, and it's certainly shocking. And let me tell you what, all of you Trump haters out there, if the drunk, cackling hag was in the White House right now, you'd be burying your guns. Mm-hmm. Okay? None of this stuff would be happening. The AFT would be killing more air traffic controllers. That's another thing. I don't mean to get into that, but like, oh, Trump and Trump. It's like, okay, great. You're not happy with Trump. You had one other option. That was a drunk, cackling hag who would have been a puppet of the deep state. Which one? Which one would make you happier?
Yeah, well,
they're like, well, neither one. Like, that's not how it works.
No, it's reality.
Scylla and Charybdis is two choices. It's not three. That's why the story was written. 2,000 years ago.
Let's go to right now the playbook from the other side. We've been asking these questions. What are they going to do on the other side? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go to the Trace, Bloomberg's fake news, anti-gun site masquerading as real journalism. And they have a story up today. Lee, the gun writer Williams, wrote about it. New Jersey just lost its assault weapons ban. Here's why that matters for the rest of the country. So far, I would write that headline as well, too, and have used that headline myself, but for completely different reasons. Here's their storyline. If the Supreme Court strikes down assault weapons bans nationwide next year, states could try other strategies, including putting semi-automatic rifles behind a permitting process. They actually wrote that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the two authors also wrote this. It's unclear whether rescinding the bans will cause an increase in gun violence or mass shootings in particular. Assault weapons have been used in most of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history, and studies have found that assault weapons combined with high-capacity magazines may increase the death count in mass shootings. Now, they also go on to put the exclamation point in. The Trace uses the Gun Violence Archive's definition of mass shooting, which includes shootings resulting in 4 or more injuries or deaths, excluding the shooter, they wrote. Those numbers have been debunked ad nauseum When they claim 600 mass shootings plus, the FBI has the number at 28 to 30. We all know what a mass shooting is, ladies and gentlemen. It ain't what they claim it is. Bottom line here is you've just been given a glimpse into what the left blue states are going to do after their assault weapons bans are smacked down, Paul. That's the direction they're going to go. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely. And what we need to understand, and we should have understood a long, long time ago, is that when it comes to the socialists, the totalitarians, and their idiot puppets like Bloomberg, there will never be enough gun control. Like, the idea, and we hear this from weak-minded people on our side. We heard it way back when Lickenbottom passed the magazine ban in Colorado. And they're like, they said, well, you know, I'm not happy about it, and it's not good, but at least now that they got what they wanted, they'll be satisfied and leave us alone.
Nah.
Really? Is that what happened?
Never stops.
They'll be satisfied and leave us alone? They'll never be satisfied, and they will never leave you alone until they have exercised absolute control over you, cradle to grave, you know, sunrise to sunset. That is the end game. The end game is to control you, you know, from the day you're born until the day you die. Yeah, that's why you have to be disarmed. That's why we have to have flock cameras on every corner. That's why, you know, and when are we going to take up the Fourth Amendment on that? And what I was going to say earlier.
Next week with you. We'll do it next week with you. You've got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, rock on. Have a good time.
Well, just to let you know, quite literally.
Go buy this freaking book.
Go buy Paul's book. You can find it over at Amazon. It's over at studentofthegun.com. And just to let you know,
Paul Markel, Student of the Gun.
As far as rock on, at sotgu.com/AAR and get 15% off over there. But during the last break, I did turn on the Marshall stack. The tubes are heating up as we speak. And that beautiful blueberry burst is going to be rocking some Free-for-All and some Zoo by the Scorpions, and I'm going to make it as loud as I possibly can to start my Friday. And, well, you know, just get in really good graces with my neighbors, because that's always fun to do. Guys, Paul, thank you for being here, brother. We love you. And next week, I want to get into that flock cameras with you. I'm looking forward to that conversation. That's the direction I've wanted to go anyway. So we'll do that with Paul Markel next Friday. Paul, enjoy that beautiful cigar. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy time with your beautiful granddaughter and all of your family. Guys, here's the deal. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club, because no self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Don't you be that disarmed cave person. Got it? All right. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your day. What's left of it. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday's Monster Cast. Thanks for being here.